What's going on, guys? It's the Unhinged Engineer here. Today I want to talk about why startup experience is so valuable. At the time I'm posting this, I will have been working at an aerospace startup for about a year, and I think I've learned a lot. Before this role, I would actually kind of scoff when I saw job recs either at startups or even mid-sized companies saying that they were explicitly looking for startup experience. I was a capable engineer at the time. I like to think I still am. And as a capable engineer who had not yet worked at a startup, I didn't understand why companies were specifically looking for this kind of experience. However, after having been through it for about a year, I definitely understand what it teaches you that's specific to startups as compared to companies of other sizes and why it's valuable to employers. So today I just kind of want to share what the environment is like and what it teaches you in a pretty candid way. I actually haven't scripted this video at all. It's going to be pretty much off the cuff, but I hope it's insightful to you. And if you are looking to work at a startup and you either don't have startup experience or looking for a new one, then maybe this video could help you understand what you can actually get out of it going into it. So yeah, like I said, I'm the Unhinged Engineer. I make professional development content for other engineers like myself. And today I want to talk about why startup experience is so valuable. So I think the biggest part of working at a startup, like what the value really boils down to, is the ability to navigate chaos. The engineering, especially the aerospace industry, is a pretty chaotic one. You know, tech, aerospace, other forms of engineering have boom and bust cycles. There's major programs spawned by economic phenomena, by wars, by other geopolitical events. Engineering and technology has really been at the forefront of the direction of the world for however long now. And thus, there's kind of this wave front going into the unknown as different companies start to make their mark on the industry. Now, more established companies that have been around longer, that have been through more, will typically develop the standards and processes required to actually navigate this in a sensible way with some element of security for the investors in that company and the employees who work there. By definition though, startups are closer to this wavefront into the unknown and really are a much more chaotic environment. Startups are growing, the vision of the company is changing at any given moment, the products they sell and the features of those products are constantly in flux over the course of their updates. Startups are very, very chaotic environments, even well into their growth phase. I should mention, the startup I've been working at is definitely in its growth phase. This isn't a 10-person company, this is a hundreds of person company, despite only being a few years old. So even later into the process of what someone might consider a startup, there's still a ton of growth and change happening at any given moment. Now, there are lots of different types of engineers out there, so I don't want to make a false dichotomy, but I want to talk about two kinds of ways to react to this chaos that I primarily see. The first one, which is typically from an engineer who really values STEM for its ability to give us control over our environment. So using our understanding of the universe, whether through physics or through math and stats, whatever else, through industry experience and knowledge, we can combine all this information and build something that imparts on the universe some outcome we're looking for, whether it's vehicle performance, whether it's satisfaction of a certain set of missions, whatever else. We are building stuff to impart control over the universe or physics or the world, however you want to phrase that. People who value engineering for that certainty, who value the predictability of engineering systems, might struggle a little bit more in a startup environment because not everything you're gonna do is gonna have one-to-one outcome delivered. There are gonna be dead ends, there are gonna be twists and turns in the road, there are gonna be unanswered questions. By definition, there's gonna be a ton of unanswered questions, especially about how do we actually succeed as a company and how do we actually get this damn thing to work. There's gonna be lots of questions that you can't model the outcome of, and it's sometimes hard to predict or control the outcome of. We can always do our best, we can build the best things we possibly can, but there's a lot more that goes into the success of a growing enterprise than just good engineering, quote unquote good engineering. And so somebody who really values that predictability and certainty in engineering is gonna be much more suited to something like a prime contractor or a big tech company where there's tons and tons of processes and paperwork to kind of constrain uncertainty in any given part of the business. Those businesses have a much more defensive posture because they've made it, right? They got through that chaotic phase and now they're looking to provide order. Startups are not like that. They're constantly in flux. So there's a second way to react to this that I think is much more productive, and being at a startup has taught me, which is that move fast and break things, playing in the sandbox view and concept of engineering. It's where engineering is about building stuff, it's about chewing on hard problems, it's about really coming up with good solutions, and the harder and thornier and more uncertain the problem is, or the challenge is, the more time you get to play in the sandbox and the more pain you get to experience, which a lot of people who work at startups are masochists, I think myself included. People who enjoy that uncertainty, who enjoy that chaos and that dynamism are really gonna love a startup. And I think, for better or worse, working at a startup actually teaches you to grapple with it and really enjoy it. I mean, a lot of my favorite times at my current employer have been pivots, have been unforeseen challenges, tight deadlines that got moved up. There have been lots of really exciting moments working at a startup that you wouldn't get at a company that's doing the same thing every day or working on a program with a 10-year time horizon. Things are just happening really, really fast, and things are happening for the first time a lot of the time. And that comes with a ton of chaos, dynamism, whatever you want to call it, that somebody who really enjoys that part of it and isn't constantly seeking out certainty and security is gonna really love, and it gets to be like a drug. I think some part of this response is nurture, like being at a startup and being around these kinds of people. If you're open to change and open to growth, it's really kind of a muscle that you can train and you can learn to be okay with the uncertainty. Another reason that I think even non-startup companies are looking for people with startup experience, because if you can handle that very chaotic environment, you can probably perform incredibly well in a very orderly environment where there aren't so many fluctuations in what you're expected to do. So it's something that you can train. It's also something that's kind of a virtue of personality. There are certain people who just have that kind of temperament where they're a little bit more okay with failure, a little bit more okay with vulnerability and admitting that they don't actually know what to do, right? Versus if you're someone who's constantly looking for a whiteboard to point to say, hey, that's the right thing, this is what we're gonna do, and we're not gonna question it. If you're someone who craves that kind of structure in your life and in your career, then you're not gonna enjoy a startup. But if you're somebody who's a little bit more all over the place, off the wall, whatever you wanna call it, I definitely think that a startup can be incredibly valuable and fun to you. And this is another reason, I don't wanna stereotype, but this is another reason that startups can attract young people a lot of the time, because young people, especially coming right out of school, can be more open to a lot of reinvention and discovery of new things. They're still very much in the growth phase of their own career and are comfortable being at a company that's still within the growth phase of its life cycle. There's also other reasons for that, like if you don't have a family, you can invest more into your work and you can handle more uncertainty and more risk. Versus if you have a family, you're probably looking for more security, and then it's understandable that someone would work at a larger company. So this kind of temperament, this ability to live in the uncertainty, is really, really a big part of what working at a startup teaches you. And honestly, I have loved it. I think that working at a startup is super fun. There's a ton of different aspects to it that don't come with larger companies or other more secure forms of employment like big tech, like government agencies, like prime defense contractors. There's a lot of interesting parts with your identity. Like it feels very much like a family at this point because it's so small. There's a lot of cultural components to it. There's a lot of professional development components to it because titles have more flux associated with them, and teams are constantly changing, and products and product visions are constantly changing. So there's lots of challenges that you will encounter at a higher frequency than you would in more established companies. And you're just expected to do more. Like it's really cool to be given a ton of authority over things, especially when it's a land grab. There are tons of aspects of the business or aspects of the industry that a startup might be trying to move into that they just haven't yet. And so by virtue of nothing existing there yet, you actually get a ton of authority over the direction that line of the business will take because you're just the first one there. And especially as a young person, that gives you an opportunity to really punch above your weight class and be given a lot of responsibility and a lot of autonomy to go do what you're looking to do. So being able to handle that level of freedom responsibly and in a way that benefits the business would be incredibly valuable to future employers because it shows that you can handle the pressure, that you can deliver strong business outcomes, which I really try to stress this a lot of time. I hate to sound like a business bro, but in the modern day, there's so much more to being an engineer than just building stuff. You want to actually make sure that the technology you're building translates into good outcomes, both for your customers or users and your actual company, your employer. So I think that working at a startup teaches you that a lot of the time and just at a higher rate than other places you might work. And in the 1 year I've been here at this startup, I have learned a crap ton. It has felt like multiple years of work being at this startup, not just because their work is a ton, but also because of how fast everything's moving and how fast I've had to move to keep up. So I definitely think working at a startup can be incredibly, incredibly valuable, and I understand now why employers are looking for it. Does this mean everybody has to work at a startup at some point in their career? Definitely not. But I just wanted to share with you guys my experience and what I've gotten out of it as somebody who wasn't explicitly seeking out startup experience, but wound up getting the opportunity to do it, went through it in a pretty significant way. I mean, a year is not nothing. Like I definitely have learned a ton. I've worked very hard at this company. I've done lots of different roles within the business and have watched it change pretty significantly. And so I think that having gone through that experience, I definitely am not the same than the day I showed up. And I think the way it changes you can be valuable to certain employers. And so if some of the things I'm talking about here, like being able to handle chaos and uncertainty, being able to chart a vision within uncharted territory, going out into lines of the industry or lines of the business or potential product ideas and taking it all the way through from ideation to deployment, being able to do that, being able to work in rapidly growing and changing teams on rapidly growing and changing products, being able to handle all that and work at a pace that allows you to keep up. These are all skills that I think you really only get at a startup, and thus I do find it valuable and think it's changed how I work throughout the rest of my career. I hope this is valuable to you guys. I think working at a startup is super fun. I really enjoyed it. In the future, if this is something people are really interested in, I definitely could make a more formal video about what it's actually like working at a startup. But I did want to talk about when I go and look at job recs for coming up with ideas for different videos, like what are employers looking for right now? What are interview processes like? Like I'm doing a lot of research. I've noticed that companies are more and more so looking for startup experience. And it's funny because I've read those recs and thought to myself, you know, I do have startup experience now. I should kind of share what it's like and what I've learned. And when people say they're looking for a startup experience, what are they actually looking for? I think they're looking for some of the attributes I just talked about that I've gotten over the year I've worked at one. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, I'm the Unhinged Engineer. I make professional development content for other engineers like myself. Not just about working at startups, but also about working in aerospace, which is what I do, and just being an early career engineering professional looking to navigate the craziness that's going on in the tech world right now. So if that's all stuff you're interested in, then this is definitely the channel for you. Please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.